Happy New Year. I hope you had a wonderful last 2 weeks. Hi, I'm Myra with Boutique Paint. I'm back after a 2-week break, and I'm excited to be back, although it was lovely to have family time, of course. Today we're going to work on decorating a bracelet, and I picked these up, I think Michael's is what I want to say. And we're going to, though, pretend this is gold because I thought I had a gold one of these, and what I want to do as far as color is gold. So we're going to pretend. We're going to be using the IOD Trimmings 2, and I'm going to be using this here. And it looks like it is long enough to go over this entire bracelet plus some. It will not fill up the edges here and here, but that's okay. So let's get started. We're going to start out by pouring. I'm not going to mix up that much because I am just doing this. So I always put my finger right where I want to pour it. And you can see there's some chunkies coming out of this because it's the end of the bottle. I do have a video. I'm probably going to need just a smidge more than that. I do have a video about problem solving when you're using the resin. And I'll link that below. And if you have any questions about just using the resin all the way around, I do have videos on that also. But those chunkies aren't going to affect what we're doing. So as I'm pouring this, I'm going kind of light. So I'm going to just go ahead and pour the whole thing. If you want it to be not quite as stiff, then I suggest you, if you want to work with it and not have it not very stiff, I suggest you pour it kind of thin so that oop, I'm going over the edge there, but so that you're not, it's not thick. So it's a little on the thinner side. I'm gonna try to scoop some of that in. I don't want it bulging. You can see this side doesn't have as much. So I'm just gonna kind of even it out. Okay, so this is set up, and we're going to pull it, and it's still pretty flexible, and that's the way I want it. You can see because the gold, or the kind of yellow part of the part A, part B had chunked up, so it turned kind of yellow. But because we're going to paint this, it's not going to matter. But if you're towards the end of your resin, and you don't want it yellow, you just want it white, you may want to grab a new container of it. And what I meant by the shelf is, this is what I consider the shelf. So I poured just up the rim slightly because I wanted this to be a little thinner. Now you could just pour in this part too. That would work also. But we want it soft so that we can curve it around this and glue it. And what you're going to want to do is glue it and trim it, and then, or trim it and then glue it, excuse me, and then tape it. But we're gonna try to cheat that step a little bit. And I'm gonna get some scissors. We're gonna cheat it because I want to glue it and then move on to the painting. And I'm going to use some E6000. Because it's my favorite as far as using it for jewelry. And I'm going to, I think I want to kind of center this. So I want about the same on each side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it. And you can't see this part, but I'm just going to take a pencil and go inside there and draw a line in there. And then I'm going to roll it, trying to keep that side in place. Roll it so that I get, and you want to make sure it's centered to your bracelet. Otherwise your curve will be a little smidge off. I'm sure they have square edge ones, but the round ones are a little bit more comfortable as far as actually wearing. So I can tell just by this curve, I didn't get it exactly centered, but we're just gonna cut it with scissors because it's still flexible enough to do that. This one I got nice and centered, I can tell. All right. So we're just going to put, and also before you put this on metal, it's always a good idea to take a little bit, actually I'm going to use a little hand sanitizer because I'm just going to put it on my hands. It's always a good idea to clean the metal. You'd never know what the process is for making the metal, and then you don't know how many people with greasy hands touched it in the store. I'm trying to get a paper towel to dry it off. So it's always just a really good idea with any metal to either use vinegar to cut it or rubbing alcohol or hand sanitizer. And I just want a pretty decent coat on this entire thing. I don't want to get too close to the edge, only because I don't want the glue, you know, seeping out the edges, but you can always clean it up if you do. And that's what toothpicks are good for. This is such the little teeny tiny tube. I keep forgetting to grab my big tube from the house. It is starting to stiffen up just a smidge. And I did not cut that in the right place. I have lots of overhang. I should have double checked that. I know this side is cut better, so I'm going to go ahead and slide that. Because I know that side's a little centered, more centered. So while I'm doing this, so I think I will take a little bit of painter's tape just to hold it in place. And I should have double checked that before I started gluing. But here we are. Okay, so let's wipe off the glue so I don't get glue all over my scissors. And I will remark it. I'm going to go ahead and start painting, and I'm going to start out with gold. And you can use any metallic gold acrylic paint. And you want to get into those little nooks and crannies. You don't have to worry about the nooks and crannies a whole lot because, and of course I put that paint on the wrong side. Because we're going to put a blue-green over the top of this. And basically, we're just wanting to have the highlights of the gold on the high spots. I'll pour it on this side this time. So our piece is now dry with the gold, and I want to mix. I'm using Old 57 and Fancy Farm Girl, and I'm going to mix it because I don't want the blue or the kind of turquoise to be quite this bright. So I'm just going to drizzle in a little bit of, I wanted a little bit more blue-green. Let's see what color we're going to have here. Yeah, that's getting closer to what I'm thinking of. I'm just going to put it just a smidge more green in there. Just a drop. And then I'm going to use a foam brush again because I do need to really get into the nooks and crannies, because all I'm wanting is the top of this, the raised part of the mold, to be gold. The rest of it I want to be this color. Oh, that's a pretty color. That's a pretty color combination. So I'm just dabbing it in there. It's one of the nice things about using a foam brush is you can really abuse it and rinse it out and use it a few more times and it'll be just fine. And they're fairly inexpensive for crafts. And you don't really have to worry about getting absolutely everything. Just get a good amount of coat in there and try to get, like I said, the low spots. So before this dries now, I'm going to grab a paper towel and I'm just going to pull the blue-green back to just show the gold. Now with the DIY paint, if something happens and you have to walk away, you can still do this. Just use a wet paper towel and go in there and it will do the same thing. You can do some kind of twisting to get some of the paint off. And you can, if you want more gold showing, just go ahead and wipe it back even further. Okay, so I'm going to wax it up. And it'll dry again back to this color once it's finished curing. And then I'm thinking I may want just a smidge more gold showing through. So I'm going to take DIY's gold wax. And I'm going to get a brush. Maybe I'll just use my finger. Just put a little bit on my paper here. Just kind of hit the high spots. I'll just give it a little bit more. Now you could do it this way also. If you don't have the gold paint, you could always do it in reverse. So you could you can paint it the color that you want it, and then take the gold wax and just come through and not do the rub through, just use the gold wax. You don't have quite as much control, so you just will have to be a little bit more careful putting on the gold wax. But it looks like it's, because the wax, if you put too much on your finger, will go into the low spots. That's the only thing. But you could take a Q-tip and get it cleaned up. Either way would work beautifully. But that's it. There you go. If you have any questions about any of the products we used today, you can go to our website at www.boutiquepaint.com. And thank you so much for joining me. Bye.